Have you ever noticed someone who never posts pictures online? No selfies, no celebrations, no updates. In a world that rewards attention, these people almost seem invisible. But psychology says that behavior isn't random. It actually reveals a lot about their confidence, mindset, and emotional intelligence. It's more than just a habit. It's a window into how they see themselves and the world. Let's break down the real psychology behind people who don't post their photos on social media, and why they might just be the most self-aware people you know. 1. Privacy over popularity. Psychologists have observed that people who rarely post pictures tend to have a high privacy orientation. That doesn't mean they dislike people or avoid connections. They simply value control over what others see and think about them. While the average person seeks validation through likes, shares, and comments, these individuals find satisfaction from within. Their self-worth isn't tied to digital applause. Think about it. Social media often rewards the loudest and the most visible, but these quiet ones are choosing something different. They protect their mental space deliberately. They know that constant exposure can lead to overthinking, judgment, and unnecessary comparison. While the world chases attention, they chase calm. And that restraint? That's a subtle sign of inner security. 2. Strong self-awareness. Research on self-concept clarity shows that people who share less online often have a strong sense of who they are. They know their values, their goals, and what truly matters to them without needing external approval. Unlike the majority who might scroll endlessly, wondering if they are measuring up, these people are grounded in their own reality. Their happiness doesn't depend on how many people react to their photos or stories. They don't post to show off a vacation, a new purchase, or a trendy outfit. Instead, they focus on experiences that matter deeply to them, even if no one else ever sees it. It's a kind of contentment that most of us strive for but rarely reach. This awareness isn't just emotional, it's practical. They understand what drains their energy online and what uplifts it. They make deliberate choices about where to invest their attention. 3. Emotionally secure. Posting less is often linked to secure self-esteem, a type of confidence that doesn't require attention to survive. Psychologists point out that people with this emotional balance are less anxious and less approval-seeking. They don't post selfies to prove their worth because they already feel complete. Their self-validation comes from accomplishments, relationships, and personal growth, not from notifications on a phone. Imagine someone who goes on a weekend trip but doesn't post a single picture. To many, it might seem unusual, but in reality, it's a reflection of emotional independence. They don't need digital praise to feel joy. They experience moments fully, without filtering them for an audience. And that ability to live authentically is what distinguishes them from the crowd. 4. Deep thinkers, not show-offs. People who stay quiet online are often more introspective. They think before they speak, and they post only when something genuinely matters. This comes from a cognitive trait called an internal locus of evaluation, meaning they judge themselves by their own standards, not others. They have a personal compass that guides their actions, and they don't feel the need to perform for an audience. These individuals often excel in areas that require patience, reflection, and understanding. In conversations, they might listen more than they speak. In work, they focus on mastery rather than recognition. In relationships, they prioritize meaningful connection over superficial approval. Their world isn't about being seen. It's about being understood, even if only by themselves. 5. They understand the digital illusion. Social media is powerful, but it's also deceptive. Psychologists call this phenomenon social comparison theory, where people constantly measure their worth against others' highlight reels. Those who post less are often acutely aware of this trap. They understand that online images are curated, edited, and filtered versions of reality. By staying low-key, they shield themselves from the stress of comparison, the anxiety of judgment, and the pressure to perform. Choosing peace over performance is a skill that many people wish they had. It's not about being shy or disconnected. It's about knowing that your life doesn't need a stage to be valuable. They protect their mental health by limiting exposure to this distorted version of reality And in doing so, they gain clarity and focus that the rest of us might envy. 6. They cultivate authentic connections. When you don't broadcast your life constantly, you tend to form deeper bonds with the people who are actually present in it. Instead of chasing likes, these individuals invest in real-world relationships. They remember birthdays, listen actively, and engage meaningfully. This isn't coincidence, it's psychological. By not spreading their attention thin across hundreds of online friends or followers, they create room for intimacy and genuine conversation. The people in their lives know that interactions with them are thoughtful, not performative. And in today's digital age, that kind of authenticity is rare, powerful, and magnetic. 7. They have patience and delayed gratification. Social media thrives on instant feedback. Every post, story, or tweet comes with a dopamine hit in the form of likes and comments. People who abstain from posting are practicing a form of delayed gratification without even realizing it. They understand that satisfaction from achievement, personal growth, or meaningful experiences often takes time, and it doesn't come with instant validation. This patience extends to other areas of life as well. They're more likely to invest in long-term goals, think through big decisions, and to prioritize substance over style. Their mindset isn't about quick wins or viral moments. It's about building a life that feels real and lasting. 8. They embrace self-reflection. Posting less often goes hand in hand with introspection. People who remain off the digital spotlight are more likely to journal, meditate, or simply think deeply about their experiences. They analyze their thoughts, emotions, and decisions without the distraction of seeking approval from others. Self-reflection is a superpower. It allows people to notice patterns, correct mistakes, and grow in ways that social media cannot teach. While others compare their lives to highlight reels, these individuals are quietly improving themselves in ways that matter most, emotionally, mentally, and even professionally. 9. They challenge societal norms. In a world obsessed with visibility, constantly sharing updates, these individuals silently resist the pressure. Choosing privacy and self-containment is a subtle rebellion against a culture that equates online presence with personal worth. Psychologically, this is an expression of autonomy. They refuse to let societal expectations dictate their behavior. Instead of measuring themselves by external standards, they set their own rules for how they live, engage, and present themselves. And that autonomy often translates into higher confidence, independence, and resilience. 10. They inspire without trying. Interestingly, people who post less often can have a surprisingly strong impact on those around them. Their calm, measured presence is refreshing. They show, by example, that you don't need constant validation to be successful, happy, or socially respected. By not participating in the online noise, they create a sense of mystery, respect, and credibility. People notice the quality of their actions, not the quantity of their posts. And in a digital era dominated by superficial attention, that's more influential than any viral post could ever be. So, next time you notice someone who doesn't post their pictures, don't assume they're shy or antisocial. They might just be more grounded, emotionally intelligent, and self-aware than most people online. They don't need to be seen to feel seen. They don't chase likes, comments, or recognition. They chase self-understanding, meaningful experiences, and genuine relationships. And that, my friend, is real confidence. In a world obsessed with appearances, they remind us that the most important validation comes from within. They show us that mental peace, emotional security, and self-awareness are far more rewarding than digital applause. While others scroll endlessly through lives curated for attention, these people live fully, thoughtfully, and intentionally. If you love understanding why people think and behave the way they do, hit subscribe now. Because on this channel, we don't just scroll through people's lives. We decode their minds. We explore the subtle psychology behind everyday behavior. And we uncover the hidden patterns that make people truly remarkable. By understanding these quiet, introspective individuals, you can also learn something profound about yourself. You might discover how to balance your own social media habits, protect your mental space, and focus on what genuinely matters. You might even start to value the unseen victories in life, the ones that don't require likes, shares, or attention. So next time you scroll past someone who never posts, don't overlook them. They're not invisible. They're just living differently, more intentionally, and with a level of inner clarity that most of us are still chasing. And that, in the end, is the real lesson psychology teaches us. Confidence isn't loud. Happiness doesn't need an audience. And peace doesn't need validation.